Chapter 7 Failed Love and Dark Years. This chapter is one of the darker chapters in my life. I don't regret any of it because it has led me to who I am now. I had gotten out of the military. I had gotten back to home life, and everything was different. I had lost what I thought was my soulmate. My friends had moved away. I'd come out of AIT actually flirting with this girl. Her name was Rebecca. We had gotten together before I got out. I had came to the house. We had met. She was the second person I'd ever had sex with. The relationship was good. It had its ups and downs. She scared me when she said the I love you. I had strong feelings for her, but I didn't want to fully give myself to anybody ever again in fear of getting hurt. So I hurt her by breaking it off. It was very painful. She was devastated. We did get back together one more time, but that time wasn't, it was just the process of getting over it, I guess. We'd gotten together. I hadn't seen her a bunch. She'd come down to see her brother on Halloween. Didn't even stop and say hi to me. So I didn't know if this was just payback for me breaking her heart in the first place. So I ended it and moved on to the next relationship. I had several relationships in this span. All of them were lust. I decided that I wasn't going to give myself fully to anybody, and I was just going to mess around. And I did. Thank God that I didn't end up getting anybody pregnant or catching any disease. There's always the chance when you're at higher risk, when you are at higher sexuality. I thought that just letting this out and just having fun would help me through my process. It would help me cope. It would help me move on. But all it did was cover up what was really hurting. The second thing I did to cover that up was a lot of drinking. I was living with my sister, and then I moved out, and I moved in with my buddy. We moved into a 2-bedroom, and at one point had like 5 guys living there. We had alcohol every week. I was drunk a lot. I was on the verge of losing myself completely. I had drinking, stopped caring about other people. It was tough, and I was trying to deal with it with sex and alcohol. We had eventually got kicked out of that apartment, but the last day I was there, I made a total ass of myself. I got so drunk that I threw a table at the wall and put a big old hole in the wall, which I tried to cover with a poster. I became the guy that I hated in high school. I became the asshole. I don't understand how anybody was able to put up with my crap at all. Thank God for my close-knit friends who were going through this with me. I did have a scare one time. I'm pretty sure I had alcohol poisoning. Me and my buddy Chris finished a whole bottle of Boston's vodka. It was bottom shelf, $10 for this huge thing of vodka. And me and him drank it. I fell through the plexiglass shower door. I had finally crawled into bed and was throwing up. And now looking at it, I am thankful that I do not sleep on my back. That might have actually saved my life. I went from there to these were the years I again lived with my sister. I lived with my buddy Dean. At one point, I lived in a tent out back of my sister's apartment, and I had a extension cord for power. I did that for a few weeks. Then I moved in with the guy my fiance had cheated on me with, Mouse. And I lived with him and his girlfriend at the time for a while. And then me and Chris finally got an apartment together. When we did that, things started to change. It started to become more responsible. He had a killer job he just got a hold of. We got another roommate who's more responsible than the other guys we hung out with. But it was the first time actually living on my own and that much responsibility, and I tore it up. It was nuts. I was failing in the Army. I was failing the PT courses. I was gaining a lot of weight. At one point, I lived in my buddy's basement for a while. And then I moved in again with Dean and my ex-girlfriend, Rebecca. They were together at the time. I lived with them for a while. That was hard. I had no money other than the one check a month. So when I was getting big chunks, I happened to get in the military. When I got out, they gave me half. And then it took a few years later, and I got the other half. And it happened to be that. So I paid rent in full for a few months. But that left me with nothing. Because usually I bought ridiculous stuff. TVs, PlayStation, PSPs. Didn't stock the house of food. And when I did eat, I ate horrible. I ate McDonald's off the dollar menu. And then I would go weeks in between with eating like peanut butter. Because I wasn't being an adult at all. And at one point, I did stay with my buddy Stryker and his girlfriend. I had we had stayed there. We got drunk. He had been working at McDonald's. He had a discount. Everything was 50% off. So we used this discount, and I ate like crap over there. And again, the asshole reared out because I happened to mess around with his girlfriend behind his back. I feel like such a other complete tool bag now, but like I said back then, I didn't care. I didn't. I had reached the dark spot, and again, I was trying to fill that void with sex and alcohol. After that was one of the slaps in my face, kind of a wake-up call that if I'm willing to do that I need to start changing the way I live. It was shortly after that I ended up moving in with Chris. That was an experience that helped change. Chris has been my buddy forever, and we both knew at that time we couldn't keep up what we were doing. So living with him was awesome. The kitchen was so small, we moved the refrigerator into the dining room, which was cool. I hung up all my fitted hats in the living room. We had this place decked out. It looked nice. In the basement, we had a punching bag. I was starting to use that to let out my anger. we had fun. We bought airsoft guns and we were playing airsoft like there was no more drinking. We cut that crap out. Uh, we played Rock Band. We started to get back to the way that things used to be when we were in high school. We were hitting it. I happened to be working. I worked at a tax prep place, and I had to wear the Statue of Liberty costume because the Uncle Sam costume wouldn't fit. I was too tall. So I wore the Statue of Liberty costume, and this was tax season, so we're talking January. And just to be a goofball, I would sometimes wear shorts so that it looked like I was just out there in the Statue of Liberty dress. And we had a sign, and we had to bring in, wave people down and bring them in. I happened to actually get a female's phone number while wearing the Statue of Liberty outfit. The job was easy. I just stood there for 6 hours. So it was fantastic. Then they did my taxes for me. I got a discount. I worked for, what was it? I think it was Liberty. And it was great. So everything started to turn around after all the darkness. I cannot emphasize how much I really didn't give a rat's ass about anything. Now looking at it, I am glad I got through it, and it scares me. I could have came out much worse. I could have came out as an alcoholic. I could have came out worse. One of the other low points was getting to fight with my buddy Dean. That was another thing that I look back on, and I think that I was just a horrible fucking person. It all started because we were drinking, and he had a thing for another friend of ours, Cassie. She didn't want to be home alone, so she told my sister to tell me. And I was like, fine, I'll sit with her, because she was my best friend, Like, why not? So I happened to put my shoes on, and Dean asked me where I was going, and I told him, and he put his shoes on, and he took off. And I was like, all right, whatever. You go do it. Because, again, I'm drunk. Chris went after him, and me and another buddy of ours, Jeffrey, we decided that we were drunk enough, we wanted to go see this scuffle that was going to take place. And we're laughing the whole way there, and we get there, and for some reason, Jeffrey has a change of heart. Cassie's crying in the middle of her living room, and she just wants them to stop. She just wants them out. So Jeffrey grabbed Chris, and they went outside. I just pushed Dean on the couch, tell him to chill. He bounced off the couch, swinging at me. So we got into it. We got into it pretty bad. The result of this was I had sprained my hand, punching him in the forehead, and he had a mild concussion. At least I hope. We never checked on him, or never had him go to the hospital and have it checked up. If you ask him, he doesn't remember any of this. That's how drunk we were, which is not a necessary good thing. I felt really bad for it. Both those situations, I spent years after waiting to be punished. I was waiting for the universe to justify, to rectify, not justify, rectify what I had done. Some other things had happened during that time too. I got arrested for the first time right before my sister got married. My buddy was like, I'm going to get you alcohol and McDonald's. All you have to do is steal these stupid Yu-Gi-Oh cards from Walmart. And me and my other buddy were like, yeah, that's easy. This should be simple. I was also high that time. I got high that morning, so I went and stole these cards, and I got caught. 4 packs of cards cost me $150 in fines that I had to make payments on, and I think it was like 120 hours of community service. That was another wake up call because I had to go to my father and tell him that I had let him down. That one of the big things in our family I'd done. In doing so, I went and did my community service, and I took that time to reflect on what was I doing. I did my community service at a dump. After it was said and over with, the last day was the day of my sister's wedding, so I had to get back. I put on my Class A's there and went to her wedding. It was a good experience because they said that I was the hardest working person to ever come there on. You must do this. I stood in front of that judge, and she had given it a conditional discharge. Nobody can find this on my record because it was conditional. I had 3 years. I had to do $150 fine, the $120 or 20-hour community service, and 3 years of keeping my nose clean, and it came off my record. If you do a background search, you will not find it. I mean, I guess if you did an extensive background search, you will find it. But I had paid for that. I paid for that mistake. I don't, again, regret anything in my life. It has all led up to me being who I am. I am a much better friend. I am a much better person. I have my crap together now. I guess I just needed that period of just letting go of everything. It was a period where I wasn't being told what to do. I wasn't being told how to do it. There was no expectations of me. It was just me. And I was wild and crazy. That was my wild and crazy. I know there's other people with much wild and crazy stories. And I know there's much people with much tamer stories. But you are listening and reading my story. And for me, that was the craziest of my years. I wasn't who I needed to be. I wasn't who I wanted to be. I was the complete opposite. I had hit the bottom. And looking at it all now, there was only one way up. And it had to have happened for me to hit the peaks I've hit. And for that, I am grateful. I'm grateful for the experience. I'm grateful for being able to let out and let that demon out of me. I have gotten it out of my system. And for that, I am grateful. And with that being said, this is Chapter 7. Thank you for listening.